The King of Nitpicks returns. And about time too! I am so tragically behind with everything right now that no amount of hard drugs or bum cream can ever solve such an issue. But I will get there. Clearly the fact my subscriber count is on the rise means that people are still interested in what I have to say, so I shall not disappoint you, dear viewer. The show must go on. Here are my thoughts, opinions, loves and hates of the third episode of this glorious series of Doctor Who titled Thin Ice. Given the title, however, I must say that the layer of ice they're all standing on cannot possibly be thin. I'm no scientist, so I could be completely wrong about that, but there's a bloody elephant there, so it must be colder than a corpse. As I said before though, I do like that the episode starts here and not with another generic "where do you want to go this time" type of conversation like the one that kicked off last week's episode. Okay, well, they do go back into the TARDIS for a chat, but even still, the continuation is quite interesting, given that the episodes often vary so greatly each week. We have a miniature flashback to Rose's first trip into the past when Bill comes back from her raiding of the BBC's costume cupboard. The Doctor and Bill's dialogue once again flourishes as she questions whether her actions will have consequences. It's interesting that in the Doctor's old age, he's no longer interested in the butterfly effect, given how insignificant their visit to the fair is. This is seen when Bill hesitates to take a flyer from a little girl, almost incomprehensible that she's about to interact with a world of people that are long dead and buried in her timeline. I found it very interesting though that given the breadth of scale we're provided with, the whole episode was done in a studio. I wouldn't have thought it either. It has been edited and shot well for it to give off the impression that they're outside in the cold. However, for some reason there is a group of people fighting on the ice. Now I'll grant them that a whole myriad of things are happening that could result in the ice breaking beneath them at any moment. I'm looking at you, Mr. Elephant, but you would think that this fighting wouldn't be allowed on the ice. I am, however, without context for this event in history, so I can't say if it did or didn't happen. I'm just surprised that all these idiots haven't smashed themselves to a watery grave by this point. The pair then bump into Courtney 2.0 while some kid runs off with the Doctor's screwdriver. For some bizarre reason, Spider doesn't seem to get that two fully grown adults want their blue shiny thing back, and so he just stands there wondering what the pretty lights underneath the ice are about. I must say though, his death certainly was quite brutal. All that remained of him was his hand before being sucked into the river. I think it would have been beneficial had that clip of the drunk being killed not been included. Not only was it pointless, but removed any surprise or shock that could have been in the scene when the boy died. What took the cake, however, was this conversation between the pair that followed. It's interesting to see the emotion pour out of Bill, enraged at the futility of life, compared to that of a man who cannot die. He sees the death of a young boy insignificant given that greater injustices have been done that many would prefer to turn a blind eye to, and that nothing gives his death any more importance than another's.
What makes you so fucking special?
This conversation was beautifully performed by both Capaldi and Mackie, given how patient and stoic the Doctor is in defending his viewpoint. The music here is great, the camera slowly moving closer to their faces, fantastic. Now I'm just going to put the words he says on the screen here because it's important to point out that this is a statement that has rung true almost throughout the entire time I've been watching the show, and I'll come back to it later. The audience then have the unfortunate luxury of encountering these annoying children. Don't get me wrong, they could be worse, but god they are annoying. I'm also confused at the level of trust they have in these two random strangers they just met. What reason would the girl have for running off thinking, ah fuck, maybe those two weirdos might actually help me given that I tried to steal from them, then going back across the terrifying ice just to interrupt his conversation? None of them are concerned that they might be poisoned or fattened up to feed the beast below the ice? Doc Brown and Bilbo then do the smart thing and jump into the river. Although I don't quite get why the Doctor had his back turned to his pupil almost through this entire segment, Bill's expressive reaction to seeing the glowing fish was rather hilarious. The monster pops its head up and Spider's hat floats down into Bill's hand, followed by a completely unnecessary flashback of the lad taking the Doctor's screwdriver. This isn't the first time the episode treats the audience like idiots either. When the Doctor and Bill leave the TARDIS in their costumes, the TARDIS flashes this into the audience's face. Well duh, of course there's life. There's people walking all over the damn place. It's also useless showing us this, not only because we know there's a monster beneath it already, but because it's unlikely he'll be returning before his adventure with Bill is up. What was the point in this? Anyway, where did we get to? Once again, another character in the story is incapable of raising an eyebrow at the pair's appearance, and just simply lets them into a cordoned off area of London. This is where the monster's shit is carved up and made into neat little squares and shipped off for fuel. Oh yeah, that's right, I said shit. unlike Bill.
No sh**.
Ugh, seriously, political correctness is just absurdly funny sometimes. You have a deep moral dilemma about a child being dragged to his death beneath the river, but the moment somebody says a naughty word, no, sorry, if the scriptwriter was aware of this, why the hell did she keep the line in there? Oh God, it started. I can hear my teeth grinding already. I'll let Thumper explain it more profoundly than I ever could.
If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
The mystery deepens when they find the rich man who's behind this whole affair. It's certainly interesting to see that there's more to this situation than just having a random monster plopping about beneath the Thames, and that the real monster is the man who has the monster in chains. This certainly is proved the case when he comes into the room calling Bill a creature and just behaving like a total dickhead. What I have a problem with, however, is the punch. Everybody is chanting this mantra that it's satisfying to watch. Yeah, duh. But we just had the Doctor lecture us not once but twice about the benefits of diplomacy and reason as opposed to violence. It makes them completely redundant. I get it. John Pertwee was of a similar age when he was on the show and used martial arts from time to time. I'm not saying the Doctor cannot be violent. I'd understand it if the pair were about to be physically attacked or if she was just about to be put in chains or something. But he's just shouting at her and giving her commands she could just reject. That would have shown her strength as an individual who won't be pushed around. Why couldn't the Doctor have had his moment of outrage in this moment with a bloody big shouty monologue or something? I would have been far more impressed with him putting his foot down instead of just making exceptions to his moral values. I mean, he's managed to waltz his way around all the pushovers so far in the story. It seems to be implying that he can pretty much get away with anything now. The speech that does come is very well written but delivered in a very dull way. The show then pats itself on the back twice by having the antagonist praise the Doctor for no reason, and again when Bill and him are in the car. Are we done yet? Nope, we still have 15 minutes to go. Great. We have some cringy moments when the characters try to drive everybody else off of the ice. The bad guy pathetically trying to stop people from leaving the rink and a girl banging a plate. Once again, nobody seems to be skeptical about these random people's claims in the slightest either, even though they were perfectly happy to watch some people smash themselves into the ice for fun not half an hour ago. Those pesky racists then press the detonator, which now is somehow wired up to the chains of the creature. In that short time that Bill was sent off to warn everybody about the ice, the Doctor was able to grab the pre-existing dynamite, put on that suit, go down to the depths of the river to place the dynamite onto the chains of the beast, and swim back up. Surely just using the TARDIS would have made more sense. A poor rendition of Richard Spencer then squeals his way to safety, only for the ice to crack and fall in. This, along with the final shots we see of the monster bounding away into freedom, are honestly some of the worst special effects I've ever seen on the show. I seem to remember Moffat saying something about production value.
Alien City, amongst the best we've ever had. The production values of this one are through the roof. Through the roof.
I knew that from this moment, the rest of this series' effects will probably look shit. I wasn't wrong. Seeing the thing swimming away though, I can't help but be reminded of The Beast Below in Series 5. Only that episode was good. The kids then get to move into Sutcliffe's house, yet nobody seems to know what this little boy's name is. During the scene in the children's hideout and when they first get to the house, he is distinctly called Harry.
A ship? What do you mean, a merchant?
Not that kind of shit. Harry! Whoa! Harry, look!
And yet when the Doctor asks him what his name is, he says,
Boo!
Perry. His name's Perry.
I mean, how did this happen? Back at the university though, I love how Nardole put coffee in their tea. It's genuinely made me wonder what the two combined would actually taste like. Although I can't imagine it being particularly pleasant. It would have been really great if he had done it to punish him for travelling and breaking his oath, but apparently he couldn't hear the noisy time machine materialising as he was coming up to the room. Oh well, yet another missed opportunity. More importantly though, down in the basement, something starts knocking on the door. Interestingly, there are 3 knocks consistently up until the final knock, which is 4 times. Remind you of something?
Be nice this isn't this week's episode title. It is also the title of a Big Finish audio adventure. This isn't the first time the Thames will be mentioned throughout Peter Capaldi Zero. They were first mentioned in a conversation between him and Clara in the Series 8 episode The Caretaker. Thin Ice is also a throwback to a 2011 episode called A Good Man Goes to War, in which River Song and Rory have a conversation where she says, "The Doctor took me ice skating on the River Thames in 1814, the last of the Great Frost Fairs.
And I have never had the time for the luxury of outrage."
Well, that isn't entirely true.
But it's not fair!
I'd like to thank Harry so much for letting me take part in this video, and if you have any kind of interest and enjoy this section of the video, please check out my channel in the description below. There I post deleted podcast show weekly where myself and Ace Creeper look at each episode of Doctor Who as it comes out. I also post trailers, and I know it says Skyrim and more. That's complete bollocks because I haven't posted a Skyrim video in about a year. Thank you guys so much, and now to Harry with the final verdict on Thin Ice.
Thanks for that, Dooley. So, did it suck? Yes. I can safely say this is the first episode of the series that I don't like. Not that it was lacking good things. I mean, Bill is becoming one of my favourite companions as the series is going on. Her performance is just fantastic, and Capaldi is able to make the best of this too when they interact. The ideas were good, the set was nice, and there were some very thrilling moments too. But I think the main problem I have is with the missed opportunities they had with this story. Bill opens the episode with the slavery aspect, and I thought there would be a bit more weight to this subject, but ultimately fell flat under the weight of that massive monster. The child acting, the punch, the episode treating the viewers like idiots, the special effects sucked whilst patting itself on the back over a speech that was, in my opinion, poorly placed. I give Thin Ice a 3 out of 10. All my life, all my life. He sees the death of a young boy insignificant given the greater injustices that could have been... Oh, golly, bosh. Me, golly, gone. He sees the death of a young boy insignificant given the greater injustices have been... Oh, God. Doc Brown and Bilbo then do the smart thing and jump into the ocean. The river, you did I proofread this at all? Not that it was lacking good things. I mean, Bill is becoming one of my favourite companions as the series goes on. Her performance is just fantastic, and Capaldi is able to fuck